Welcome to our June Aloha webinar. This is a series of monthly webinars we've been doing on different subjects. Today, we are going to have a roundtable discussion. We will are recording this, and we will put it on Aloha's website with any materials that we talk about so that you can access it later. If you have a question, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there is a Q&A box, a little conversation bubble that says Q&A underneath it. If you click that box, it will open up a window for you to type in your question. If you will please put your questions there instead of the chat box, we certainly would appreciate it because it'll make it easier for us to see the questions, and we'll address them as we go along. So without any further time, I'm going to turn this over to Mary Mann Simon, a member of Aloha's board, and who has put together this the concept for this webinar and this illustrious group of presenters. So Mary, please take it.
And we do have an illustrious group, so thank you for joining us. Our focus today is what makes an effective and successful older adult ministry. What we want to do is to showcase the range of activities and services that are happening right now in churches across the country. Our four panelists reflect various types of ministries and various kinds of churches in terms of size and demographics. And they're going to offer you some actionable points for ministry effectiveness. Panelists are knowledgeable. They are experienced and enthusiastic about what they do in their congregations. And that's going to be our real focus, what these people are doing in their home churches. Many of them are leaders on the national or regional level, but we're going to look at their home church and what is happening in that position. Shirley Carpenter is a cheerleader for older adults at Redeemer, Westfield, New Jersey. So that's the East Coast representative. Sue Lennartson is Director of Adult Ministry at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in Matamidi, Minnesota. Did I do it right, Sue?
Matamidi.
Okay. Tom Perry is Senior Ministry Leader at Trinity Mission, Kansas. And the West Coast rep is Carolyn Ross, who is the Executive Director of Care Connections Network. That's a social ministry of Lutheran Church of the Resurrection in Huntington Beach, California. So we go across the country, and I'm in Fort Myers, Florida, where we have just started a torrential tropical rain. You already met Carol, who is our wonderful and efficient Aloha office administrator and tech expert. So throughout this session, as Carol said, she's going to be submitting the questions to us that you are sending in. Let's start with a brief prayer. Please join me. Thank you, Lord, for these experienced ministry leaders who are willing to share their expertise with our far-flung audience. Help us maximize this time to learn ways to serve you more effectively. Amen. Let's start with each of our panelists giving a real brief little summary on their ministry to kind of fill in that one-line bio that you had. I call it an elevator speech because that's about the length of time it takes an elevator to get from one floor to another, about 30 seconds to a minute. So, Shirley, let's start with you, your elevator speech.
Okay, I am a retired educator, administrator. I have served in a number of different communities. I've been a part of the Aloha board, but I really would also like to introduce our part of the world. Westfield, New Jersey is a community of about 30,000. We're about 25 miles directly west of Lower Manhattan. We're a bedroom community of New York City commuters. New Jersey, as you know, has about 9 million people, 1,215 per square mile, and no county in New Jersey is rural. Redeemer is a part of the community of Westfield, New Jersey. Founded in the early 50s, we have about 17 worship sites in our community, 3 of which are Jewish, 2 of which are Roman Catholic. We have 2 very large Protestant churches. We are one of 50 congregations in the New Jersey district, all of whom, or most of whom, worship less than 100 persons. So Lutherans in New Jersey are a rare breed, and that's where I'm privileged to be.
Great. Well, you can see that Shirley was on a high-rise elevator. It took a while to get to the top. But let's go to Sue.
That was
and
kind
see
of
what
you.
kind of an elevator we have in Minnesota.
Yes,
Sue.
from one floor to the next. Our ministry for older adults is one of inclusivity, that it is moved into the body of Christ, one of invite, that our seniors feel invited in a variety of ways, and great care in igniting till our last breath, our spiritual giftedness and giving, and a uniting, the body of Christ. Those that have gone before us, those that are coming, but inclusivity into all of the ministry at St. Andrews. And yes, specific also, but one of inclusivity.
Okay, great. Tom?
Well, I'm from Trinity in Mission, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City. So Kansas is flat, so the elevator doesn't go very high. About 5 or 6 years ago, Trinity made the decision to enhance its ministry with an already active group of seniors. We developed a ministry focused upon spiritual enrichment, health and well-being, fellowship, and service projects by our members. We try to work toward those goals with a variety of Bible classes, speaker series, talks, fellowship events, and service projects.
Great. Carolyn, West Coast?
Hey, so at Care Connections Network, we're dedicated to helping our older adults age in their own homes and communities as they continue their lives of purpose and promise. We use a community-based grassroots model that we've adapted to the faith community. And it's our goal to create intentional community for them and to empower them by offering them educational opportunities, to help them age with confidence and navigate the challenges of aging. Also social and cultural events to keep them connected with each other in the community. Also referrals to vetted service providers. We also have a volunteer program to help them with other additional needs that they might have. We're a separate nonprofit 501c3 community organization from the congregation. We started within the congregation, but then became our own nonprofit. We serve as a social ministry of Lutheran Church of the Resurrection, but we're also able to kind of bridge that gap and be a community organization and engage with the community. It's an opportunity for the church members and our CCN participants to outreach, to do other service opportunities with other community organizations. And we're also an affiliated social ministry organization of the ELCA and Lutheran Services in America. And we've been doing this since 2012 using this model.
Great. Now I've heard the term older adults, older adult ministry, senior, aging, various terminologies here. Let's just quickly go through down that same roundtable list. Who is your demographic in your particular ministry? Who are you serving? Age 50 and above, 60, 65? You know, where does it go? Shirley, let's start with you.
Okay, we had no experience with any kind of senior ministry. I started with senior ministry. Some of our people did not like that word. So we use adult ministry, and we have no age restriction.
Okay, great. Sue?
Yes, we started with a third chapter ministry, and we were looking at boomers, and then we had another area for elders. And what I found in offering this is that younger people would say, you know, I really want to attend that, but I'm too young. Then I had older people say, well, I'm older than that generation, but I would really like to come to this. So going along with what Shirley said, we moved everything into adult ministry. And by the title and by the focus, people would attend. So it ended up now that we have multi-generation coming together around topics that affect at least three generations, but people coming together in dialogue around that. Some, of course, are focused more 70s, that age range. But by the title, people know, I want to be there, or I want to tune in, and I want to be a part of that. So adult ministries is what we call it. We do have an elder cafe, and so elder, what is that? And we're just at possibly a launching of that. So the name again is being looked at.
Great. Okay, Tom?
Well, at our church, I tried changing the name of senior ministry to older adult ministry because I heard everybody was doing that. And I heard from our seniors that they didn't like that a bit, so we changed back to senior ministry. When we look at who our, let's say, our target audience is, we've also been working with the Kansas district, and we've had a task force that is looking in and has created a committee to do this as well. But we don't look at age so much as we look at where older adults are in their lives. And we've divided that into three sections. One is pre-retirement, because people retire at different ages now. They can go from 55 to never retiring. So we look at them as pre-retirement, retirement inactive, and retired but with limitations. And for the retired with limitations, a lot of times they include those homebound people that aren't able to come to church and participate in the other events. Yeah, so we try to minister to the whole group, and we do have people. One of our Bible classes is called 50 plus because it's been that forever. But there's also a joke going around that you have to have kids 50 to be a part of that Bible class.
Okay, good. And such variety already, just with the three of you. Carolyn?
Yeah, so we're 50 plus. Since our model's focused on community building, we really want to engage the younger elders. And we kind of, for them, we approach it more that it's a pay it forward idea. So they're going to participate, they're going to help the older elders. And then they know that down the road, when they're in that place, they're going to receive that kind of help. We don't want it to be top down, like we're helping you, you're so needy. We want people to feel like we're all partners together, we're on this journey together. What do we want it to look like? How can we help each other and empower each other to do that? So the 50, 60-year-olds that participate, they're all very motivated by the fact of how they want to age, how they want it to look when they're 70 or 80 or older than that. So they kind of participate using that mindset. And we actually have so much fun that it's very easy to get them engaged. And we just have a wide variety of ages all coming together.
One thing that really can connect people at these different seasons of these older years as we age is technology. And we've learned that in spite of the caricatures about older people using technology, we're pretty with it. I speak as part of that group, although my tech skills are limited, and I'm glad Carol's here for us today. But technology gives us the opportunity, especially now, to connect with people. How is that something that you use a lot of? How do you let people know what you're doing? Do you depend on technology? Shirley, let's start with you and go around real quickly.
Okay. And we did have Belinda ask that question. What types of things are you doing now for older adults?
So very timely. Thanks, Carol.
Probably the most effective has been the Zoom conference for Bible study. We did not have any kind of a teleministry set up before this time, but we were strongly encouraged, and we contact each other by phone. So probably our most effective has been the phone contact, just to the people that we know, especially those that are homebound, that are in the situation where they may not have the technology. So it's the phone and then Zoom conferencing.
Okay, and that's a really important point because we know the statistics of loneliness and isolation with older adults, and certainly during this season of life that we are all surviving and thriving, hopefully, in with the pandemic, you know, we have to be aware of those people who aren't tech savvy. Sue?
Yes, and I love what you say in that, Mary. We're created for relationship. And so definitely by phone, and not just once, but several times. We have a team of people that are calling the entire congregation. And so the phone conversations, and they've been lengthy, and prayer requests and touching back, but also email and our website and mailing things by phone, and also the Zoom Bible studies. People have just been flocking to that. And where people aren't online or tech or the phone call, the prayer, the Bible study by phone has been the way we've been working now.
You know, that's really interesting because now the first two of you, that visual element, we are a visual society today, and Zoom allows that extra element to layer on to the audio. Tom,
Yes.
what have you seen?
Well, we take advantage of Zoom an awful lot too with Bible study, and we also stream, like I'm sure all congregations now do, our services and all of that. But it was a real challenge on how do you keep seniors together and active and excited, because we're such social people. We want to get together and see our friends and serve Christ at the same time. So we've taken advantage of, well, our pastors first have talked to many members of our congregation. Our congregation, to give you an idea, we have 2 campuses, and on a given weekend, we have somewhere around 650 that come to services. So our pastors have called people and assigned them people to call on a regular basis to keep in touch. And that's the whole congregation, but especially the seniors as well. Then we try to take advantage of the website. We're blessed to have some people that are very gifted in that area. And so our congregation has a website, but we also have a web page on that website which you can click to, which is fairly extensive, which includes things that we think are of more interest to seniors. We divide it up into the 3 different groups that we have. But then we also, another challenge is that not everybody has email addresses. Not everybody has access to the computer. And so what I do is I go and take things off of the website every other week, and I make packets, and we run those off, make packets, and we mail those packets to the members that we don't have a email address for. And then I guess in addition to that, we have blast emails that go out to the congregation twice a week, on Mondays and on Fridays. And there's links to different areas like preschool and children, and one of those is senior ministry. And so then they can go right to the senior ministry webpage as well.
Okay, so communication using all these different forms is absolutely critical, especially now. Carolyn, anything to add?
Similar, prior to COVID, we used Facebook. We still use Facebook a lot. That's really popular with the people that we reach out to. We have a website. We have a separate website and a link from the church website to our website. We do email blasts directly from me, also through the congregation. They'll forward our email blasts. There's always people that still just want a letter. They want something mailed. They want the newsletter mailed. They don't want to get it via email. So I accommodate individual needs, whatever people need. Post-COVID, we're using Zoom like everybody else. And we're calling people. We call 100 people a week. And then we also call about 20 community members that the city of Huntington Beach have identified as especially vulnerable, who recognized that mental health was something that was becoming an issue for them. So they reached out and asked if they could start having these phone calls also. So we're also doing that.
What a great community outreach too, Carolyn. I mean, that's really super. Here's a question that kind of taps into, Tom, what you had said. The question submitted by a viewer several days ago, so Carol forwarded it. Many of our volunteers here are 65 plus, with the recommendations for COVID-19 to not have seniors be volunteers when they're older. What can we do to help these older people still feel important and helpful? Who would like to start speaking to that? And we'll kind of give you a choice. If you want to speak, just kind of let me know. Who wants to start on that? Carolyn, you want to start?
Yeah, because that was an immediate thing we had to address, because my greatest volunteers are all 65 to 75. So immediately they were all in their houses not doing anything. And they're all people that really want to serve and really want to give back. It feeds their souls. So not being able to do that was devastating to them. So they are the people making these approximately 120 phone calls a week. And especially those 20 people in the city that we have no idea who they are. We've never seen them. They're having like 45-minute phone calls with them. Like they want these relationships to continue. They're very concerned about this program and what we're going to do with it. And they don't want it to stop. So it's been an opportunity for them to serve just in a different way, but it's allowed them to engage with each other and the community and actually form relationships. They're calling people in the congregation that, you know, you sit next to people every Sunday in church. It doesn't mean you really know them. So now they're having these deep conversations and really getting to know each other on a different level, especially in a time of crisis. So that's been a really positive experience for them.
So relational outreach, you know, that might be one of the positives that come out of this, that we prioritize this for our older adult ministry in a new way that we haven't really paid as much attention to. Shirley, you wanted to speak?
I did. I would like to reference one of our more rural congregations. They started their adult ministry on the theme of a tele-ministry. And it has now developed that they have 11 volunteers who make 60 calls a week, the entire congregation. And their term was connecting, as Carolyn mentioned. They're really connecting with each other. And that's gone into their preschool moms. And prior to this quarantine, they were inclusive in a luncheon and things. And church attendance had been increasing due to this contact. So,
well, and that all important word, connecting, that really could be a theme here that our viewers could pick up on and see how many places and opportunities there are for this connecting kind of thing. Tom or Sue, do either of you want to address this at all? Tom?
Sure. We too have many of our older adults making those phone calls to our congregation, and that's a good way of them to stay in fellowship with them. Another thing that, in addition to what you all have said, is we're trying to focus somewhat upon them developing their individual spiritual gifts and individual gifts at this time when they're at home. And so we have people we have members that are using their gifts partly on our website in different ways. We have one doctor who writes an article every week about the effects of COVID-19 and how we should go about staying safe and all of those statistics. And he has a gift for that. It's really wonderful. We have another man who is a gifted writer who has taken the opportunity to do a 10 or 12 week series of articles on how to tell your story and write down your story to your family and to your friends. Not only your biography, but your faith story as well. And then we have poets that are, we have a number of poets that are quite talented. And so we showcase their stuff as well. And we encourage other people in our congregation to be a part of that and to show what their gifts are, because it's important to develop your own gift. Everybody has their own gift or gifts that is special to them. And finding out what that is can make you feel wanted and needed and appreciated.
Great. And Sue, you're a big relationship person, so you have to speak to this.
Pardon me?
You're a big relationship person, so I assume this is really a big thing for you.
It is a relationship, and I echo the phone calls, absolutely. Our 65 and beyond 70, 80, making those calls, and many a week. But also, I looked at our ministry staff. We have a large ELCA congregation, and I divided the ministry areas, and then I made calls to our seniors. They are called the encouragers, capital AGERS, which we hear. They are the encouragers, and they pray daily for a specific area of ministry. Daily, they're on their knees and just praying. So the email went out to the staff of who the encouragers are and that they are praying for you daily. So it's the elderly coming and supporting in prayer over our staff. Now, it could not be any work for our staff. No, not a lot of prayer requests and emails or anything. Staff, you know, pastors and staff, that when you get up in the morning, someone is covering you in prayer. When you go to bed at night, you lay your head down and know that you've been covered in prayer. And so I connect with our encouragers through email, but I have to make many phone calls because not everybody is online. And there's a encourager going through cancer, or what are they going through? But they're praying and journaling. And our staff, the response from our staff in knowing that they are being prayed for daily by the elders, the seniors of our church, to tears, some of them. Thank you, thank you. So that discipleship of prayer and journaling and spiritual practices. Then also we have a group of, there are 52 writers. They're writing, they're selecting Bible verses. And it's called the Word of the Day. And so we're gathering all of this, but they're taking a Bible verse that just touches their heart, inspires them. They're writing on it. They're asking questions on it. They're praying. And we're going to move this out to the whole congregation. From those that they're 65 and better. They've been around for a while. Now they're writing and investing. The next movement will be that this elder team will find 52 junior and senior high writers. And how do we share? But I'm looking at discipleship. How do we engage people in discipleship? So, writing, praying, online, devotions, care, that they are caring for the congregation. And I'm looking discipleship and spiritual practices where they're into photography. We have a spiritual direction where they are involved in that online. But the telephone and the engagement of discipleship practices have been on my heart.
Okay. It sounds like several of you have initiatives that have either started or grown during this pandemic time. We heard about prayer ministry, faith stories, and just a shout out to what we have on the Aloha website. If you go to that, if you are writing your faith story or encouraging someone to write their faith story, spiritual gifts, helping people identify the spiritual gifts, which they might not have really looked at before they have time when they're stuck at home. But these are initiatives that might continue and grow post-pandemic. So what are you doing for looking ahead? Are you including events, one-to-one events, personal kinds of events in your fall planning, or are you going virtual? What are you doing? Let's start with Shirley. What's up for fall in New Jersey?
Not much right now because we're still so restricted. We are able to open the church this coming Sunday. I don't think we're ready for it yet at Redeemer because they're trying to work out the logistics for communion. And our pastor believes strongly that a service should include communion. At the beginning of the year, we had already set out a calendar for the entire year. All of that is on hold. So right now, our plans are very minimal.
Okay, quickly, Sue, what are you doing for fall?
You know, we're planning both, Mary. We're planning if we are gathering together, but we're also carving everything and how it could work online. So we're doing both, but we're moving ahead.
Okay, Tom?
Well, it's really thrown us for a loop. We normally have a very active year like you all do, and with many things, but now we are uncertain as to how to proceed because we don't know when we can all get together. We had May 16th was going to be a big day for us here at Trinity. We were going to have a symposium on senior ministry, and Rich Bimler was coming in to speak, and we had another speaker from our district coming in, and we invited a lot of people. That is on hold, and so as soon as we figure we can get that rescheduled and do it safely, we're going to try to do that. And the participation, we just don't know on that. But as far as our regular things that we do, we're going to have to adapt those to either smaller groups or to online, a way of dealing with it online.
Yeah. Carolyn?
Yeah, so we've already moved things to Zoom and added things. We're doing happy hour on Zoom. We have topical discussions every week on Zoom. We just moved our educational seminars on to Zoom. Those we usually have 50 people attend at least. So that's challenging. I don't know when we'll get back to 50 people. Because in my mind, that we are serving the most vulnerable during this time. So I have to be really cognizant of that. We're just going to be flexible. We have no big group things. Everything that was planned, we had it planned, but it's all canceled. They keep calling me asking when the party is, and I'm like, yeah, no, not yet. But we did start chair yoga this week, which was only 4 people in a huge room, you know, sitting 20 feet apart with masks on, and I took their temperatures and they had to sign a liability release. You know, it's like, I don't know how much fun all of that is, but they were grateful to do it. We also have a taiko drum group, Japanese drumming. We might start that again because that's a small group, about 5 people, and they can do it outside. But other than that, I really honestly don't see us ramping back up this year. And honestly, I don't know if it'll be before. There probably has to be a vaccine. I mean, that's the reality for us.
Well, and I think that's true for a lot of people because we can plan these things, but then the question is, will people come?
Right.
When are they going to feel safe enough that they can come
or
and
should
comfortable?
they? Yeah.
Because we really want them to. Now you're talking about ministry continuing though. Are you is senior adult ministry budgeted at your church? Are you a line item? How do you carry on all these ministries? Let's quickly go around. Shirley, you want to start?
We are not a budget item, but we have some very generous seniors and other members. And I've been around a long time. I know who they are. I easily call on them, and we've had great response.
Okay,
so
good.
Volunteerism is huge.
Are you a budgeted item?
We have both. We have everything covered under adult ministry, but we also have a care ministry that is very attentive to aging process and care, and they are a separate budget line under care ministry. So we have 2 areas.
Okay, Tom?
Well, as far as finances are concerned, I'm a part-time worker at Trinity, and part of my job is the senior ministry leader position. So in that way, you know, Trinity does help provide funds. As far as the things that we do, we're able to do a lot of things, but mostly it's from the generosity of outside people and people that take ownership in our program. And we've been very fortunate. We're trying, since I'm planning on maybe in a few years, you know, really retiring, that we're trying to budget or try to figure out how to be a part of a line item in the budget so that our funding will continue in the future.
Okay, Carolyn, you probably have a whole different kind of scenario with budgeting.
Yeah, well, about a third of our funding comes from the congregation. We collect dues, annual dues from our participants. So that's about a third of our funding. If you do not want to pay the dues, you can still participate in everything we do. But the people that do pay that, they know that they're helping fund us. They know that we don't exist without that the church is not fully funding us. And then about a third is grant funding and private donations.
Wow, that opens up a whole nother opportunity that I sometimes think we don't tap into enough. But if ministry effectiveness is measured by things like attendance, do you base your budgeting on how many people participate? I mean, this is going to change, this whole pandemic thing is going to change a lot of the ways we look at older adult ministry. We have a whole bunch of questions that have been submitted by viewers, and just starting off with one before I flip it over to Carol to add some. We've had one submitted in advance. How do you get teens and younger people interested in interacting with the seniors group? And I'm just gonna put in a plug for our Face Stories. For the last several years with Aloha, we have worked with a Lutheran church in Carrollton, Texas, where high school students tape the faith stories of older adults. And it is an incredible experience, I can tell you firsthand, by being there year after year to see these teenagers interact with these older adults, talking about their spiritual journey, their journey with Jesus is incredible. So maybe even taking that technology that can be a common bond between generations and seeing how to do that. But let's go through and see who wants to speak to, how do you connect these generations? Tom?
Well, another common bond besides technology is food. And both the teens and seniors both like food a lot. And I'm a great example of that. I'm not going to stand up so you can see my But what we did this past fall was we sponsored a picnic for the confirmation kids and their families. And so we interacted with them on that basis. And that was kind of neat. We also have people who are mentors to kids that have a certain interest, and they can call upon some of our members. For example, we have a high school age boy that is interested in woodworking. And he is connected with a 90-something-year-old man who does a lot of woodworking. And so the two of them are getting together and working through different things. That's kind of cool. When we, if you look at other ages as well, besides just teenagers, we have mentors on Sunday mornings where many of our seniors are taking 5 or 10 minutes before Sunday school starts and taking a special kid, an individual kid each week, the same one, and they become friends or adopted grandparents, whatever you want to call it, and talk to them every week. And then we also have people who volunteer reading at our preschool on a regular basis. So that's the way we try to keep involved.
That's great. Anybody else want to speak to that? Besides food, technology, events, mentoring? Anything else there?
I will, just in the minimal ways in which we've been able to do it at some of our social events, like the Oktoberfest or a Veterans Recognition, personal invitations to the teenagers for serving, or many of them are gifted with music. They become part of the program. And in that way, then they interact with some of these people that they really did not know at all. And the adult guests then get to know them and come up and speak to them. So it's pretty small, but it's been effective.
Small, that's fine.
Yeah.
You have to start someplace, and that's working well. Carol, let's pick up some of the questions that you've had submitted.
Okay, we do have a number of questions. And one of them is, Lucy asks, how many congregational members are living in care facilities or independent assisted living or full care? About homebound and hospice, how are you reaching those people, especially right now?
Who would like to speak to that?
I can, in that it's not really the adult ministry team that does that. Our elders and pastor do that. We probably have, and this is just a guess, maybe 8 in that kind of a situation, but we have not really addressed the needs of the homebound at all from the adult ministry team.
Okay. Tom, you were going to say something?
Sure. We have probably 36 people that are in facilities, okay, and different kinds of, ranging from, full care to, partial care. And we have some that we call and term homebound, that they really just can't get out. And so the way we reach those, there are several different ways. We record and give CDs to those who wish them of the sermons each week, and we mail those out. Also, every other week, I'll write a letter and try to stay in touch with them and encourage them. For the others, it's the mailings and just the trying to keep in contact with. But like Shirley, the pastors are the ones that regularly make calls on them, serve them communion, and things like that.
Okay. Sue?
Yes, we went into partnership with Presbyterian Homes and co-invested into a Presbyterian home, but it's called St. Andrew's Village, which our church is St. Andrew's Lutheran Church. So it's on proximity with our church, and we run our preschool through St. Andrew's Village. And so it's memory care, it's, everything in a residential home for seniors. And then we have a specific care ministry that does go out to homebound, and generally it's the 65 plus that are going out to minister and relate and bring prayer and care.
Okay.
Carolyn? Also, I was going to say we offered a panel also, of bringing a variety of ages together, and that was fascinating. Looking at generations coming together in dialogue and how that affects our care for all ages, where they're caring for each other. So how do we all intertwine? That was fascinating.
And that's really important that we remember, because one of the fastest growing demographics we keep hearing about are the seniors. The 80 to 90 and above. This is a very fast growing demographic, and in terms of older adult ministry, we've kind of let that go. So this might be something to look at as you're planning initiatives for the future. Making sure this is an intergenerational thing among older adults. Carolyn, did you want to add anything to that, or I can toss it back to Carol for another question?
Sort of. So I will say that the people that are in skilled nursing facilities and hospice, that's totally pastoral care or deacons. It's not something that we would take on. The vulnerable shut-ins, we absolutely are serving. And we also engage our young adults in that. So it kind of goes back to that last question, especially when the pandemic hit. We started a new program. I got us some grant funding for it. We partnered with the church and with the city of Huntington Beach. So we're delivering frozen meals to those older shut-ins. And they're community members. We don't know them. So the younger people in the church are able to go out and do those deliveries. They receive the food that we get from a nonprofit that takes waste food from kitchens and grocery stores, prepares it, freezes it. So we deliver those once a week. I'm able to put readings and different things in the boxes. We also call them every week with the well-being calls. Our young adults take intake calls. So it's been this amazing program to engage our young adults to serve our most vulnerable. And it's something that we're looking at. How can we continue this? Our grant funding is running out. How can we continue this program in a meaningful way? Our young adults are also grocery shopping right now for our most vulnerable members. So it's been a really great intergenerational partnership to serve those shut-ins who shouldn't even be in a grocery store right now.
Wow, that listener, Carol, is going to get a lot of responses to that question that you posed. Do you have another question you want to share with the panel here?
And it kind of relates a little bit to what Carolyn was talking about. Marjorie had asked about any ministry to families or older adults experiencing food insecurity or homelessness.
Okay. Anybody
I
want
can
to speak to
talk
that?
a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just bounce off what I just said and fill in a little bit more. We are doing that for those people. We also provide shelf-stable food for homeless. And that, it's kind of, the word is out in the community that we're delivering food on Mondays. So a lot of the homeless will come by the congregation and we'll give them that shelf-stable food. Our congregation very much wants to be engaged in the homelessness problem, but we have a preschool, so we can't open a food kitchen or something like that. So we're just known in the city of Huntington Beach that if there's a specific issue, recently there was a young mother found on the streets and with her baby. And so we took her on, we found her a short-term apartment, we got her the services she needed, engaged with her social worker. So we do those sorts of things very one-on-one. But for the older adults specific to homelessness, it's really not specific to older adults. It's just for the homeless population.
Sue?
We're finding in the St. Paul and Minneapolis area that one of the largest growing homeless populations are boomers and beyond. So we have at St. Andrews called a community resource center. So we work with other churches, we work with the Washington County Sheriff's Department, and meals are given out every Thursday, clothing, help in finding jobs. That seems to be a big deal in finding a job. Housing has been provided, and that's real tricky right now, working with hotels, motels, because our shelters can't open up right now. So it's a huge community effort, and the offices and the base and rooms are just dedicated to this community resource center that officers are finding people living in their cars at rest areas, and how can we provide food, how can we provide, and in the winter months, when it's way below zero, that's very, very difficult. And so a cot is given or a warm place, and it's been a real struggle through this virus, but it's ongoing, it will continue.
Okay, good. Carol, would you like to share another question?
We probably talked a little bit about this, but somebody's asked about the kind of fellowship activities that can be offered to older adults via Zoom. And so we've talked about the Bible studies and those kind of things, but this is more geared toward fellowship.
Okay, fellowship activities that are virtual.
We're doing happy hour. Everybody gets online at 5 o'clock once a week, and they're encouraged to bring alcoholic or non-alcoholic and their snack, and they sit and talk, and it's just free form flowing talk. We do coffee and chat that's topical on Wednesday mornings. We do our educational seminars online. We encourage them to eat lunch together before, you know, all of those sorts of things we're doing online.
That's great. Anybody else want to address that?
We're doing online also.
Okay.
Come together, and it's a Bible study, or it's social, or it's a topical discussion. There's been a group doing a book study, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And you wouldn't think in this time hurry would be an issue, but it's the hurriedness of our mind and how do we Sabbath. And so, great discussion.
Wow, very interesting. Is there anything else, Carol, that you want to address from our viewers? I just have a couple other questions I'd like to get to the panel.
We did have a question about what is the favorite activity of participants in your older adult ministry. And I know Shirley is ready with an answer for that if you want to go to, you know, that kind of question.
Shirley, you're off my little gallery here, so I couldn't see your hand.
Okay, well that's right. I had spoken. One of our most respected and appreciated activities was a veterans recognition breakfast. And we recognized the veterans from our own church, and we had quite a few for a small church, but we also invited others. And that really was intergenerational. It also got community involvement because we used the American Legion posts, brought many decorations, flyers, and things to be put out. And a very local floral shop has every year donated a carnation for each veteran that's present. That's been an ongoing ministry. So, you know, it has, just, as you can see, here we are, the veterans in front, and the seniors are serving. They're in the kitchen. We had families that participated with music. We had just a wonderful, wonderful fellowship. And there's a young man who's talking about the services that our veterans provided, how many years they spent in the military, the kinds of skills that they had. You can see our Marine with his camouflage shirt on. It was a highly successful event. See them there. You'll see me, I guess, in the same red shirt, but just well done.
Well, and I love the intergenerational aspect. You know, just a great idea. Thank you for sharing the pictures too.
Yes, this is a remembrance table. So effective for those that have not ever returned.
Great idea. Great idea. Okay, others, real quickly before we kind of wrap up here, of your most successful or most popular kind of activity that you've done that hopefully we'll get back to or adjusted post-pandemic. Let's see, we had Shirley. So Sue, your most popular.
Also, I agree, a dinner, a senior luncheon, it just so popular. But also when we gather and we invited a variety of churches in our area to be a panel and to look at all what are you doing in a senior ministry? And we heard from churches all over, and we shared, what are we doing as a community? And we had rural, urban, suburban, different denominations, but also we brought in an age panel, teens to 80s. Where is God? Who is God in your life? And we heard some things that were a little hard to hear, but when we bring about a challenge, that is good. But also in the dinner line, where we can offer a dinner for our seniors, we're flipping that, and the seniors are the ones that are going to be doing the dinner for the staff. So I'm finding whenever our seniors, the feeling of I'm not done yet, the giftedness, the purpose, the passion, and engaging them, no matter what age, if it's prayer on the phone or putting a dinner together, purpose, a purpose.
It feels good to be
I'm
wanted.
not done yet, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, it feels good to be wanted. Tom?
Yes, to be needed.
I don't know that it's hard to pick one thing, as we do an event, a special event every month. But I guess if you had to pick one thing, it would be a combination of our Bible study on a Wednesday afternoon or a Wednesday morning, and the dinners that often flow from that, because it's a combination of the fellowship and the dinners plus the Bible study. We're blessed to have a pastor emeritus who is just a wonderful Bible study teacher. And we get probably average 65 people to a Bible study on a Wednesday morning. And so that kind of dovetails into the fellowship events and the other things that we do.
Okay, so food, fellowship, and Bible, that mix traditionally that we've had in ministry, sounds like it still works. Carolyn, you want to do a quick ad?
Sure. Beyond the parties, which everybody loves, I would say it's our monthly educational seminars, because we're able to work with community partners, our local hospital, Council on Aging, the County of Orange, all those different organizations. They bring in our presenters. We have free lunch. So there's social time at the beginning with the food, and then there's education afterwards. And that's our biggest thing that everybody loves, and has really grown our organization. We began with that, and it has just really helped us to grow and make those community connections that are really important.
Right. Excellent. Well, we're just about out of time now, but I hope that you have taken away some good ideas. We've had some great visioning that you can adapt to your situation and your congregation. Some good ideas for initiatives that can be post-pandemic, whenever that is, which is hopefully soon, but we're all at different places on that timeline. I would encourage you to check the church websites of the people who have been the panelists today. Shirley Carpenter from Redeemer, Westfield, New Jersey, Sue Lennartson from St. Andrew's Lutheran Church, Matt O'Mean, Minnesota, Tom Perry from Trinity Mission, Kansas, and Carolyn Ross from the Director of Care Communication Connections Network of the Lutheran Church of the Resurrection in Huntington Beach, California. So these are experts that you can connect with through their websites, but also look at what their churches are doing, their congregations are doing. Because as you've heard, they're all doing a variety of different things, because we're serving a wide variety of people within that older adult demographic. Carol is going to post this webinar online so that you can refer people to it who want to follow up or who want some other ideas. For my section, I'd like to end with prayer before tossing it back to Carol. Please join me. Thank you, Lord, for this time together. Help us continue to seek ways to serve and to be served by the older adults in our congregations and communities. Amen. Carol?
One comment that was made early on, and I didn't get a chance to share it. Chrysalyn had put in when we were talking about what do you call your adult ministry or older adult ministry. She said her faith community encompasses both Lutherans and Presbyterians, and their program for 50 plus is called Seen Years, as in SEEN, and then years. So those who have seen years, and instead of seniors. So that, I thought that was very clever, and doesn't talk about anybody being older. So so that is a great way to get around the issue. So once again, we have recorded this, and it will be posted on the website. Shirley had also shared their plan for older adult ministry, sort of the steps that they go through, and she's shared that with other congregations. So I can post that on the website too.
That would be wonderful.
Yes.
Just how we developed, that's it, how our plan.
So thank you all for participating in today's webinar. We thank our panelists for the time that they've spent thinking about these things and putting their words together so that they can share them today. about half of the questions that Mary had posed, we haven't gotten to. So we will definitely talk about doing some kind of follow-up in the near future for something like this. So once again, thank you to Shirley and Sue and Tom and Carolyn and Mary for participating and being our presenters or panelists today. And thank you to all of the attendees that participated in the webinar. And we will send you an email as soon as everything's posted on the website. Thank you very much.